The Star Sport podcast is brought to you by Access Credit Union. Access Credit Union, funding dreams for over 50 years.
Close your eyes and pull like a dog.
And a new Irish record for Phil Healy, 22.99.
Christy Cooney hands over the Sam Maguire Cup to Graham Canty, Cork All-Ireland champions for the 7th time ever.
Hello and welcome back to the Star Sport podcast. My name is Dylan Mangan of the Southern Star and I'm joined by Star Sport reporter Seán Holland. The Star Sport podcast is brought to you in association with our friends at Access Credit Union. Access Credit Union, where your bank really does matter. Choose Credit Union. Choose local, choose community. Now we have two special guests to welcome on this week's podcast. So first up, we'll be hearing from Bantry Blues manager Ivan Kingston, who led his side to victory in the Clona Milk U21A football final at the weekend. And later on, we'll chat with Margaret Keohane, who is manager of the St Oliver Plunkett footballers who are competing in a Junior B Munster final this Sunday. So there's lots to get into. But first, Seán, we might as well take a quick look back at some inter-county action. Cork unfortunately lost their third game in Division 2 at the weekend in the Football League to Cavan, and it's not looking good for John Cleary's team now. Not a great performance for them against Cavan on the weekend.
No, you're dead right there, Dylan. It's their third defeat now on the trot, so things aren't looking good for the footballers. They are facing now Fermanagh away from home in their next fixture, and it's kind of cut to the point now where it's pretty much do or die. They're not quite last. They're just above Kildare, but only on points difference. But things haven't been looking good now. The last couple of weeks, it's just been a kind of a continuation of poor performances. Things were looking up at the start of the year, to be fair, after the McGrath Cup, but you've got to take that with a pinch of salt as well when you look at what teams might be putting out and who they might be playing. And saw Kerry were taking off a few of their bigger names towards the end of the game and didn't have the likes of David Clifford playing. But the first day out against Donegal, it was kind of like the writing was on the wall a small bit. I know Donegal would be a fairly good side now with Jim McGuinness back at the helm, but they were completely whitewashed that day. And then they went to Louth, where people would have expected them to get a result, and Cork teams in the past would have got a result there, but they fell short there again. And against Cavan, we were thinking, back at home, they might do the business and get off the board, but no, unfortunately not. It was a very poor second half performance from Cork, and went down to 1 point defeat in the end, but things aren't looking too bright. There's a lot of talk now about the Tailteann Cup, and it's not a place where Cork football should really be.
No, and I guess is it easy to unpick exactly what's going wrong at the moment? Like you said, I kind of from going from last season into this season, lots of people would have had Cork as potential promotion candidates in Division 2 this season. John Hayes is writing in this week's Southern Star and points out the poor conversion rate, predictable long kick-out strategy, and poor discipline cost Cork against Cavan. Is that something that we've seen in all three games so far, or is there similarities between the three games? Is there things that the team will know they need to work on?
Yeah, John actually spoke about it. There's one aspect now, and it's gone huge in Gaelic football, is the kick out. It's the gaining of possession. The way football has gone, it's almost like basketball, where it's a possession based game. You have it, you try and bring it down the field and score. It's pretty simple. When you have the ball, your opponents can't score. But Cork are really struggling in the kick out aspect, especially when teams are forcing him to go long. I think when the ball went past the 45 on Saturday, Cork lost about 10 kickouts. They won all the ones that were pretty short, but that's because Cavan didn't push up as early in the game. When Cavan were behind, they started to push up and they started to have a lot of success against Cork's kickout. So you can see there's a blueprint there for teams who are playing Cork into the future, that if you press the kickout, you're going to have success against them. So they're going to sort that out first. That is the pretty much the focal point of where they need to start kicking on. And after that, then it's kind of converting scoring chances. They didn't score from playing the second half. You're not going to win any game, doing that. So it's little bits all over the place that are adding to this huge problem overall. And they need to sort it quick and fast, or they're going to be looking at the Tailteann Cup, which isn't good enough. But John Hayes in his column breaks it down very well, and even Kieran kind of alluded to in his column piece about Cork had the 5-year plan brought back in 2019. Now, given COVID kind of hit in between that, but every other county is the same. But the 5-year plan was supposed to bring along football and bring us back to competing in All Irelands where we were in the 90s and the 2000s, and even the early teens, but we're nowhere near that at this stage. We got to a quarter final last year and it looked like we're making strides, but just gone backwards this year.
Yeah, just in terms of, you mentioned conversion rate there, is that a case of just a bit of luck on the day? Like Cavan had a brilliant conversion rate at the weekend. Cork didn't. Only Kildare have scored less than Cork in Division 2. And at the same time, Cork have conceded the most. So that's kind of the brass tacks as to where they are. But Cork had a couple of good goal chances at the weekend and couldn't convert any. Is that just a case of kind of maybe players feeling the pressure a little bit, or does luck come into it as well?
Definitely, it could be a small bit of that as well, because players, there's not really one set 15 for Cork now for the last couple of years, and players are kind of almost minding their own corner. And you might say to yourself, if a fella's on for 10 or 15 minutes, he won't be keen to shoot 2 or 3 wides, because that could mean he'll be off the team the next day and mightn't see game time now for another while. And it's been a problem for Cork for a while that they don't have a free scoring forward. Like last season, Stephen Sherlock was doing most of the heavy lifting when Brian Hurley was out. So it's kind of a case of Cork need to find those lads who are just willing to take a shot on. These fellas who just kind of get the ball, turn around, go backwards, very monotonous style play. It's just not going to work. You look there, and Mayo and Kerry on Saturday evening, they were very willing to shoot. The likes of David Clifford there, Ryan O'Donoghue, they might have had a couple of wides, but they were kicking 5 or 6 points as well on top of it, So it's kind of a case that they got to take the shackles off. This kind of like conservative style of football, that's probably nearly ingrained into them towards the club game about, defence and, not giving the ball away. Well, they're afraid of taking a shot on. And it's really coming back to haunt Cork. I know they had a couple of chances. Owen McSweeney could have a goal where he touched it off the bar, but these are the kind of things, luck doesn't go your way, when you're losing games, and it's really bad for Cork in terms of they need every bit of luck that they can get, and they don't get it against Fermanagh. It's the Tailteann Cup for us.
Yeah, and how important is it to win on Sunday? They're away to Fermanagh, like we've been saying. That's at 2 p.m. on Sunday. And John Hayes has a lot of credit in the bank, especially in West Cork, obviously, with his roots here. But if they don't win on Sunday, are questions then, like serious questions, going to have to be asked about kind of the direction of this team?
Oh, definitely. It's because you just look at the fixtures that they've left. Fermanagh are no doors at all. They'll present a really tough challenge. They already have 3 points on the board. So they're away to Fermanagh, and then they have Kildare at home. Now, to be fair, Kildare is nearly as bad as ourselves. So you'd expect them to win, but you can't foresee any, conclusive win for Cork. But you'd expect them to get 2 points at home to Kildare, but then you're looking at Meath away and Armagh at home. Armagh leading, and Meath won't be any easy task either. So if they don't get 2 points this weekend, they're pretty much looking at relegation. And having talked to Cleary at the start of the year, he was, talking about promotion, and really targeting the league. And, almost they're looking at Limerick in a quarter final of the Munster. After that, you're looking at Kerry. And I think it's kind of general consensus that that's curtains for the championship if you're going away to Kerry, and you're kind of basing your rest of your season then on your league campaign and your league form. And if they don't get a win this weekend, it's big time trouble.
Yeah, absolutely. So that game is on, like I said, at 2 p.m. on Sunday. This is the 25th. So we'll all be watching that one closely and hoping for a Cork win. We're going to take a very quick break now, but we'll be back in just a second to hear from Bantry Blues U21A manager Ivan Kingston.
The Star Sport podcast is brought to you by Access Credit Union. Access Credit Union, funding dreams for over 50 years.
Welcome back to the Star Sport podcast. Now, last weekend, Bantry Blues were crowned Clonagh Milk U21A football champions after their goal-hungry forwards blitzed Iban Gaels in the first half of the final. They ended up winning 4-10 to 1-9. Seán, you've been speaking to Bantry manager Ivan Kingston about a brilliant win for them, and it's 12 years since their last title as well, so he must have been in great form.
He was indeed. Ivan was in fantastic form. It was a brilliant result for Bantry. They actually brought a huge crowd to the game in Dunmanway on Sunday. So you could see what it really meant to the people of the area. But it was fantastic, even to see a new club up there. To be fair to Ivan, they've been there the last 3 years now in the final. So it was tough on them, but they've won it before. They've got their medal. It was nice to see Bantry win on Sunday. But Ivan had actually been involved with the school team the day before as well, which was very interesting. And he had 3 or 4 players that were playing for both his sides. He was playing with Closhta, Pobble, Bantry, who unfortunately lost the Munster schools final on Saturday. But to be fair, he had 3 or 4 fellas who togged out, played 60 minutes on Saturday and were there again on Sunday. So it was great for them, and it was great for Bantry as a club. They've had their hardships. Obviously, the last couple of years losing out in county finals. So it was nice for them to get a bit of success. So now they're going into the county setup and the county championship. But of course, that has its own problems. Then that's 7 months down the line, as Ivan spoke, they prefer to get it rattled off, and pretty much every manager who's still in it will probably think the same, but other factors come into it. But it's brilliant for Bantry, and I'd like to see them go far in the competition. Now, I'm delighted to be joined by Ivan Kingston, the joint manager of the victorious Bantry footballers who won the Under-21A championship last weekend. Ivan, how are things?
How's it going?
Not too bad.
Thanks for having me on.
All good, all good. We'll start off pretty much talking about your win yesterday, and it was your first win in the A grade in 12 years. So pretty much sum up how you feel as a group and what meant for you.
Look, it was a brilliant performance by the lads, to be fair. It's a massive result for the club, really, and like performance wise, it was just superb. In fairness to the lads, they were brilliant, Like that first half performance, it was as good as I've seen them play, to be honest with you, So it's great. It's a lovely way to finish up, well, not finish up, we'll drive on for the county now, obviously, as well,
That's it. And just in the game itself, you kind of you roared into it, but it was a case of a day previous. Not many people might know now, but you had a few players that were involved as well with Closhta, Pobble, Bantry, who were playing the day previous. So how did it work in terms of trying to get players, to almost recover immediately to get to play, 60 minutes after playing a tough 60 minutes in a Munster final the day before?
Yeah, it was tough on those lads, obviously. Yeah. But in fairness, the lads that are involved are just super lads anyway. In fact, they came straight home off the bus into the maritime, into the pool, sauna, and just to recover. Like in fairness, and the lads that are like Mark O'Sullivan, Luke Sutherland, Dara Sheedy, and then we'd other lads then on the panel that wouldn't have been starting. Those 3 boys started, so. But we'd other lads on the panel then yesterday again that would have been on playing as well on Saturday, and which was unfortunately a result in the end of that. But still, the way they lifted themselves the following day, to the credit to them, to be fair, It
was fantastic, especially the way you started. You tore into the game. Was there anything you said to the lads before heading out? Did you target, say, the first 15-20 minutes where you kind of pretty much grasped hold of the game, or was there anything spoken about make a fast start?
I suppose not really. No, I wouldn't say we'd always target. I suppose target a fast start. Anyway, we like to move the ball. We like to get going fast. And as I say, when the lads move like that, to be fair, they're off the shoulder, running, letting the ball move. Like they're hard stopped. To be fair to them, and we learned our lesson against from the week before against Clonakilty. Like we were nearly caught in the semi-final. We were 10 points up, and then we conceded 2-2 in 3 or 4 minutes. So I just at halftime we spoke, I suppose, just not to let up. We always knew that Ivan were going to come back into the game. Every team was going to have their purple patch as such, and in fairness, they did. I suppose it was 15 minutes into the second half when we got our first score of the second half, but that really settled us then. But as I say, we always knew they were going to come back into it. But in fairness to lads, I think we scored 5 points in the second half against the Wind, and they scored, 5 and 4, I think, either way, whatever it was in the second half. So it was as I say, their attitude, they're a brilliant bunch of lads. I really enjoy coaching, to be fair.
Exactly. And looking at kind of how you set up yesterday, obviously with the fixtures being week on week and them clashing, I never got a chance to watch you before yesterday, but you played almost like a sweeper in front of the corner forward line. Was that a ploy that you used throughout the year, or was it looking specifically at the likes of Seán Holland?
That was the way they played. That they gave us a sweeper, that's how we reacted to how they set up. I suppose, to be honest, it wasn't. That's not how we set up as such, So no, it worked obviously, and the lads that swept in there, Rory O'Shea was sweeping in front of Conor Cronin and Olin Donovan, did a super job. And when Rory went off injured, then we had Stephen O'Donovan fell in there and just did it really, really well. But I suppose we just worked on we talked about our work rate. I suppose just working hard for the 60 minutes. And in fairness, as I say, it was as good a performance I've seen them play in many years, to be honest with you. So they're I suppose, I think the lads were saying after the game, this age group I've been with since they were under 14. So we've been all the way up through them. This is the first time we've had a good run in championship. Ivan and Clonakilty would have beaten us most years in championship all the way up. We hadn't beaten either of them in championship, to be honest with you. So it was a nice way to go through it then, in fairness to them,
Exactly. And what do you reckon was the difference this year? The fellas progressing, as footballers, are they getting stronger? What's the main?
I suppose, yeah, we would be. We're still a young under-21 team. I think there's two of the starting team are over age next year. So I think we had five lads of age only on the squad. So we're young, and I suppose even though the last number of years in championship, we would have been younger in size, whereas the lads are, they're starting to, I suppose, get bigger and easier that you're competing physically then as well, We still wouldn't be the biggest team or anything but I mean, but they have football. I'll give them that, to be fair.
They definitely did need speed. You just tore through the middle, pretty much 3 of the 4 goals anyway. It came from just lads flying through the middle, and that'll be very advantageous to you, when you progress now to the county championship. But kind of a small bit on that. What are your thoughts on it being played, say, 7-8 months down the line rather than continuing on?
I personally, I'd love. I know it's not possible, obviously, but I'd love to see this. U21 championship is a super grade of football, a super standard of football, and I'd love to see it played in the summer. Obviously, look, I understand with intercounty and everything, it's obviously very hard, but it's a pity. It's a pity, because under-21 it's a fantastic grade of football. It's as good as anything you see out there, to be fair. So it's a pity that it's not played on dry pitches, and when it's now. Yesterday we were very lucky with the weather, obviously, and the pitch was in very good condition considering. But yeah, it's a pity. I'd love to see it kind of played through and in a better time of year if possible, but sure, look, it is what it is.
It is what it is right. And taking you back a day, back to Saturday, obviously going from the highs of Sunday to the lows of Saturday. What were your thoughts and feelings after just coming up short in the Munster schools?
I suppose it's heartbreaking for the boys, to be honest. Like they've had a brilliant year. I know we still have a county final coming up, like, but they've had a brilliant year. They really clicked this year, and they gave it a fantastic effort. The game itself, I suppose, look, there's been a number of things. I suppose, like we 10 wides. They had 4. They were very clinical. You know, we weren't as clinical, obviously. Like it was physical stuff. It was like we were probably out muscled as such, you know. And like we wouldn't be the biggest team again. But I mean, look, they played fantastic football again. Like it was just pure football as well by them. But it's just you know, couple of things in the end just caught us, and that was it really, you know. But as I say, we have a county final coming up. We have the B county final. We are waiting for the winners of Mitchelstown and Demanway. So, which Mitchelstown are after winning a Munster B already. So whoever comes through that will be very, very tough, and obviously, you know.
You could imagine. And just speaking on one of the players, Dara Sheedy, sorry. He was actually man of the match in both games, just going by off the reports we have in the Star. So, like, speak on a player like that, how influential he could be now to the Bantry seniors or, you know, their adult team going forward there now this year.
Look, he's fantastic. Like he's got a wonderful attitude. In fairness, you know, like he's worked on everything in his game as a kid. Like I remember seeing him out in the park, he'd be like right and left foot, like, you know, practicing down there on his own, you know, with his brother Jack and down his dad, whatever. Just like to go out himself. He's got a fantastic attitude. Like yeah, he could go. He's definitely going places, in fairness, and like, you know what I mean. So like he's involved in the 20s, the under 20s now this year as well. Like, so look, he's 3 years at under 20 level ahead of him. Like, so, you know, yeah, he's a super kid. He's got a wonderful attitude as well, in fairness.
No, that's
now, to be fair, we have I wouldn't like to single out for this because we have a lot of lads that are in the same boat as him, to be honest, that they all have that attitude, which is great. Like. So hopefully that will drive on for the club at adult level, you know. I know Dara can't play Premier Intermediate this year. For he'll be playing Junior B with us, like, so. But there's other lads in that under 21 team that will be really drive on this year, you know. Yeah, so
that's kind of like another topic in for you, Ivan, is just a small bit on that. We've been kind of getting a few views of coaches around West Cork just on what their thoughts are of players at that age, you know, 17, 18, not being able to play with their first team if they are above the Premier Junior grade. What are your kind of thoughts on that matter?
I suppose I'm kind of old school enough. I think if you're good enough, you're old enough. Like, I understand you have to be wary of burnout and stuff for players. But like if your coaches have your best interests at heart, then you don't have to play them in every game, obviously, stuff like that. Look, it won't do him any harm not playing it this year, but at the same time, I don't really understand the idea behind it. You know, he's still going to be playing adult football. You know, so it doesn't, and like you'd wonder then, like, is it injury and stuff like that? Are they worried about? He's still going to be playing junior league games, or if he's not, you know, if he's involved with Cork, obviously not. Like, but I mean, you know, yeah, I don't see the sense behind it, to be honest.
Yeah, no, it seems like a lot of the managers have the same idea as yourself, really. You know, it's kind of a case, you said it yourself, if you're good enough, you're old enough. But looking in a couple of years into the future, and these lads that are coming up now with this under 21 team, they've had the success, they've had the B win last year, they had the A win this year. What will that do for the Bantry adult team now going forward?
You'd be hoping, like, I suppose the intermediate team have been in 2 county finals, you know, the last 2 years. Obviously they want to drive on and finally get over the line. Like, but I mean, the likes of these lads coming through, as I said, their attitude is fantastic. I know personally that there's 4 or 5 of them. They want to be starting for the intermediates this year, at least 4 or 5, should I say? And that, you know, they will drive it on. They will, you know, they'll have a go off it, definitely. You know, like there's Conor Cronin there this year. Like, he marked Owen Donovan and Conor Daly. Like, you know, he was fantastic. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's under 21 for the next 2 years, like, so he'd be driving on. I could stay naming, like, genuinely, like, there's some great lads coming up, you know.
No, it's fantastic. And just back towards the county setup then, in terms of draws and fixtures, have you any idea what's in store for you?
I honestly don't. I don't know when the actual draw is for it. I heard a couple of results there from the weekend. I know Bishton won the city, and I think Ballinora won the
Mid.
I think, yeah. So I actually hadn't even thought about it. So far away, genuinely. We just want to keep the lads playing football now for the summer. Like there'll be lads obviously pushing on to the intermediate, but then we have to make sure that we're providing football for the rest of that under-21 panel as well, that are going to be playing junior B football for us for the summer as well. So that's important that we keep them playing and keeping them interested as well, because it's a long time that you can't just give up now and try and pick it up again just at the end of the season. So
exactly.
Hopefully we'll keep them all coming in and have a go at that as well.
Exactly. And just finally, how would you work it then in terms of training sessions when you always have that county in the back of your mind? Do you just leave the lads work away with their adult teams and then regroup a couple of weeks previous?
Yeah, I suppose it's something we need to I suppose probably talk about, to be honest with you. We haven't we were concentrating on just getting this far now at the moment, and then but it's going, yeah, as I say, I know last year our junior setup was kind of separate from the intermediate. I think we had 30 lads at one stage talking out doing training at junior B level as well last year, So as on top of your intermediate panel then as well. So yeah, so we just try to keep that going. I suppose it's the big thing, and yeah, and hopefully they'll, as I say, it's just important that we keep them playing football for the summer. That's very important, and then we can, as the season progresses, we can jump back in with the under-21 management again and see how it goes.
Exactly. And look, Ivan, I wish you all the best with it, and you're keeping the West Cork flag flying anyway, and I wish Bantry all the best as well. Trying to get over the line, just third time lucky, hopefully for you.
Yeah, no, hopefully. Look, as I said, even that intermediate team, they were very lucky the last number of years. They're very, very close. So hopefully, as you say, they'll get over the line this time.
Exactly, into business. Listen, Ivan, I appreciate you taking the time. Thanks again.
Thank you very much. Much appreciated.
The Star Sport podcast is brought to you by Access Credit Union. Access Credit Union, funding dreams for over 50 years.
So now I'm delighted to be joined by Margaret Keohane, the manager of the St Oliver Plunkett footballers, who are competing in the Junior B Munster final on Sunday. Margaret, how are you doing?
I'm good. Thanks, Seán. Thanks for having me on.
No worries at all. I'll start off quite simply. What's the excitement like around Ahiol with a Munster final on the way?
Yeah, sure. I suppose it's huge. It's a huge week for the club. I suppose I'm very lucky to be part of it, really. We weren't thinking this far ahead really up until last Sunday evening. Lisbol were all we were concentrating on in the semi-final. Lisbol from Kerry. We had them in the semi-final, so the last 2 weeks really, that's all we were able to focus on. We couldn't look past that, but it was nice Sunday evening to just believe that we got over that hurdle and we're into the Munster final again. So it's great. I'm delighted for the lads. Just after all their effort and everything, it's great. They deserve it.
No, it was a brilliant achievement, but the game itself, it didn't start all that well for you, so you kind of had to build your way into it. Can you tell us a small bit about the game and how you got over the line?
Yeah, I suppose the worst start to a game that you would expect from the throw-in. Lisbol won the throw-in and it ended up in the back of our net after a couple of moves. They had a goal on the board straight away. I suppose within 5 minutes they had 2 goals and 2 points and to no score. So they really came out firing. Our lads took that couple of minutes to get into it, I suppose. Bit of a shock. A couple of our own handling errors maybe led to a couple of their scores as well. But they didn't panic as such. They settled into the game then and started picking away scores again. By half time, we were down 2 points. It was 2-6 to 10 points at half time. Mm-hmm. We started the second half then, I suppose. We started playing with the wind in the second half. and got a couple of points quick enough. And from there, we had a great, I suppose, first 20 minutes of the second half, when our lads really, what we knew they were capable of, really showed, and there was some great football played. There was great football played by both teams, I suppose. Just we had a really good period there for 20 minutes and put up a good score. Lisbon came back into it again, got chipped away a couple of points with 10 minutes to go. We were probably up about 8 points. Time was nearly up. There was only 4 points in it. They were really putting our defence under pressure. Our defence did absolutely brilliant to keep them out of the goal. And Brian Welch saved a penalty as well early in the second half. That was a huge boost to us as well, at a really good time when we were going well. And I suppose we finished out. Conor McCarthy got a goal in injury time just to seal it for us. So there was 3:15 to 2:11 it finished.
Fantastic. And whatever, grade or whatever it is in terms of football, if you beat a Kerry team in the Munster Championship, it's a fantastic achievement. So you must be, I know, trying to play down expectations, but you must be kind of fancying your chances on Sunday. It's Shannon Rovers who you're playing. It's a Tipperary team. Would you know a bit about them, or has anyone got to see them play?
Yeah, I suppose like that, Lisbon was all that we were focusing on the last 2 weeks. Since Sunday, we've done a bit of research right in Shannon Rovers. I'd say they're similar to ourselves from what we've heard. Like, they've a very fit team, and they don't have many weaknesses anywhere on the pitch, so I'd say hopefully we should have a good match against Sunday.
Mm-hmm. No, we should have the best of it. And in terms of you're playing, the lads playing, the average age is probably older than a lot of teams around West Cork. So you might give us kind of the inspiration, or what's the secret behind what's in the water, I suppose. So many veterans still playing. Even you mentioned there Brian Walsh. He was playing in 2007 when you were last in a Munster final, and then you've the likes of Mike Keohane, of course, and Owen and Gary, then the McCarthy brothers. So what is it that makes these fellas, they seem to be getting better with age?
Yeah, absolutely. I suppose the Munster final from 2007, on the panel that is there at the moment, there is 6, maybe 7 of that panel still, that'll be tagged out on Sunday, which is give an idea, right, of the age profile of it, and of the lads that were starting that day, they're half of them that were starting that day are starting again. There's probably 4 that started the last day, that did start at that final in 2007. And it's great. The mix definitely, you could see it all year, the mix of youth and experience, with the lads and stuff. And as the year was going on, they were gelling more, but, it was a great mix all year. It just worked out well for us.
Mm-hmm. No, it's fantastic because just to have those experienced heads now on Sunday will, play a big part, especially because it's almost like you've got a big kind of gap in the team. You've got a lot of good up and coming young people, players, but you still have that nice mix of experience throughout the team. So that'll play into your hands. But in terms of your season, you've had a long season, you've been involved in a lot of competitions. Have you ever taken a break throughout the year, or has it been kind of just tipping away all the way through?
They did at Christmas. I think they took about 2 weeks off at Christmas, and then I suppose it was put to the lads themselves what they wanted to do. And in January they said they just were happy to go back. I suppose at the time they were involved in the football and the hurling in Munster. Mm-hmm. They were happy to go straight back into training again, and so it was their own decision, and fair play. It's paying off now. I suppose the last couple of weeks, you can tell like their fitness is where it needs to be for playing championship football, and they're getting what they deserve out of it, I suppose, to be back here now in a final again.
They do, of course, and hopefully one more. And in terms of what something like this will do now for the parish and, the young kids growing up around the place, seeing Plunketts in major finals, that can't be underestimated, the influence that'll have. No, not at all. Like, it even all year,
even at training, some of the young guys coming to training, you know, getting jerseys signed, you know, by some of the players and that. And it's so important, you know, just for the club, just building for the future. And the lads are great, you know, with their time as well, going to underage training, going to medal presentations. It's all so important, you know, and it does when there's clubs, the club is winning and involved in competitions at this stage is like any club, you know. I'm sure you'd see it in your own club as well, you know. It's, you can see what it does for the underage and the community, and you know, it's great. It's a great place to be, you know. So hopefully it'll, any young person, any girl or boy that might have been deciding about whether to keep on football in the area or not, or go and pursue something else, that it might be, you know, sway their decision a bit to see what the rewards of it, like, and stay with it for the future.
Exactly. And just the last one for you, in terms of the year, would you put it down as one of the best years the club has ever had in terms of winning the counties and now getting to this stage? And I suppose if you know, cap it off on Sunday, it'll probably go down in history as one of Plunkett's best years, you know, since it was set up.
Yeah, I suppose the double, like, to win one county makes it a good year, but to win two counties in the space of a week, you know, it is like, that's the stuff of dreams, really. You know, you'd be aiming for it, but for it to come off, I know you'd see there, like, anyone in Newcestown, you know, or anywhere probably did the same thing. You know, it's what you aim for at the start of the year, but you know, to pull it off then is definitely, it'll go down there as one of the better years. All right.
Exactly, and I hope we can go one more now on Sunday. Listen, Margaret, appreciate you taking the time, and thanks for joining us.
Thanks very much, Seán.
The Southern Star is in shops and online via our e-paper from Thursday morning, as always, and there's plenty for you to look forward to in this week's edition. On the front page of the Sport, we focus on Bantry Blues, who are back on top, as we heard, and are Carberry U21A champions for the first time in 12 years. So there's a great photo on the front page, great report inside of that match as well. So that's a real souvenir piece for any Bantry Blues fans. Also, the draws have been made for Carberry's 2024 Junior Football and Hurling Championships. So there's some interesting matchups there. We bring you the full draws in this week's Southern Star. John Hayes focuses on why John Cleary's Cork team are making the same mistakes game after game in his column this week. We also have a match report from Cork's loss to Cavan, as well as looking forward to this weekend's game versus Fermanagh, away to Fermanagh. Emily Hegarty is back on track. She missed the entire 2023 season, the Skibbereen Rower, but she is now fighting for a place at the Summer Games in Paris. The Tokyo Olympic medalist caught up with sports editor Kieran McCarthy to chat about her struggles and why she feels she's in a great position now to get a spot on a boat for the Summer Games. We have plenty of West Cork soccer in this week's Southern Star, as well as the battling West Cork under-16s held their nerve to book a place in a national final. They're playing Dundalk in the National Schools Shield final. We've got rowing, we've got bowling, we've got rugby and more in this week's Southern Star. So be sure to pick up a copy in shops across West Cork. Or, as always, if you're further afield and you can't make it to the shops, you can subscribe to the Southern Star and get it on your laptop, tablet or phone. Just head to subscribe.southernstar.ie, enter your details, and you'll get an exact replica of the newspaper for less than €2. As always, thanks for listening to the Star Sport podcast, and thanks again to our sponsors at Access Credit Union. If you've enjoyed this, please remember to rate, review, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, and we'll be back again next week. Thanks for listening.